So, Bill 60 just passed in Ontario, and honestly, most people have no idea how big this really is. I'm seeing people online calling it the biggest change to landlord tenant rules in a decade. And then on the other side, you've got people warning that it could kick off a rental crisis. Meanwhile, the government's out there saying, relax, nothing's changed, and even telling worried renters to basically go get a job. So let's slow down for a second and actually talk about this because this thing touches literally everybody in real estate: renters, landlords, investors, sellers. If you live anywhere in the GTA, Bill 60 is going to affect you in some way or the other. Now, here's what's actually happening with Bill 60 and why people are protesting, why landlords are cheering, and what this means for anyone living in the GTA, whether you own, rent, or invest. My name is Fawad Nasari. I'm a real estate broker here in the GTA. I cover the real changes that affect your home, your rent, and your next move. If you want to stay ahead of this stuff, consider subscribing. It really helps the channel. Okay, so what is Bill 60 actually doing? Bill 60 is being sold as a law to speed up the housing approval and fix the ridiculous delays that we have at the Landlord and Tenant Board. That's the official story. But when you actually look at it, the biggest change are all about eviction and tenant rights. And that's why everyone's shouting, protesting, and arguing about it. Let me walk you through the changes people are reacting to. The first change: if a tenant wants to appeal an eviction decision, they used to have 30 days. Now they have 15 days. So the time has been cut to half. And most tenants don't have lawyers. They're trying to figure this stuff on their own. Cutting the time in half basically means a lot of people won't even have the chance to fight their case. The second change: tenants might not be allowed to bring in new evidence at their hearing. In many situations, if they discover something late, like unsafe condition or repairs that weren't done, they might not be able to mention it at the hearing. Landlords usually come with lawyers, tenants usually don't, so this feels unfair to a lot of renters. But we'll talk about landlord side later in this video and why this is a good thing for landlord. Now, third change: personal use eviction, the N12. So before, if a landlord wanted to move into a property themselves or move a family member in, they had to pay the tenant 1 month of rent as compensation. Bill 60 lets landlord avoid that payment in some cases if they give more notice, usually about 4 months. That's why people are upset. They feel like it opens the door to more N12s and maybe even more abuse. Now, here's the government side of the story. The housing minister said, and these are his exact words, not one protection is being altered. He also said more supply brings competition and competition brings lower rents. So the government is trying to frame this as a supply problem. We're trying to build home faster. We're trying to reduce red tape. And yes, the bill does include related things like planning and infrastructure, but the eviction changes are what everyone is focused on, especially in the GTA where rents are high and vacancy is low. So why are people protesting? Well, because to them, the math is simple. Faster eviction means more eviction, less compensation means more people pushed out of their home, and less time to appeal means more people losing by default. And once a tenant leaves a unit in Ontario, the landlord can reset the rent to whatever they want, no vacancy control. So even a small increase in eviction could lead to a higher market rent, not because landlords are raising rents, but because turnover resets everything. Now let's talk about landlords and why so many of them actually support Bill 60. Here's a part where most people don't see it unless you actually work with landlord on a daily basis. For years, professional tenants have been taking advantage of the loophole at the Landlord and Tenant Board. This is how it usually plays out. A landlord finally gets a hearing after waiting for months. The tenant shows up on day 30, literally the last minute, and suddenly says, I want to appeal. Boom, another 30 days, sometimes another 60 days they get. And during all of this time, they're not paying rent. I've seen tenants drag out the process by 6 months, 12 months, sometimes even 18 months, using the delay after delay after delay. Some landlords get so stuck they fall behind on their mortgage and the bank takes over and sells the home under power of sale because the tenant keeps delaying eviction and not paying rent. I hear these stories all the time. I talk to these landlords on a daily, weekly basis, and honestly, this is one of the biggest reasons renting in Ontario has become so difficult. Landlords are terrified of getting the wrong tenant, and because of that fear, they've been extremely picky. They're asking for every single document under the sun: job letters, employment letters, credit reports, bank statements, pay stubs, references, you name it. And they're checking, triple checking everything. And here's the sad part: it's not because landlords enjoy doing this. Well, most of the time, landlords just hire real estate agents and then we have to do all the checks. It's because the amount of fake documents are out there is insane. Whenever I list a rental property, I'm pretty much ready that almost 80-90% of the application that I get will be fake. They will be sketchy. Fake Equifax report, fake job letters, fake pay stubs, fake employment numbers. And they go as far as, when you actually call that number on employment letter, somebody will answer the phone pretending to be HR. I'm not exaggerating. There are literally Reddit and Facebook marketplace listings of people selling fake document packages for tenants. So, of course, landlords are being extremely careful. Of course, they're scared. And of course, they're overchecking everything. And they've been burned too many times. That's why so many landlords see Bill 60 as a relief. To them, this isn't about kicking people out. It's about finally having a system where professional tenant cannot drag things out forever. Faster timeline means fewer games, fewer loopholes, less abuse of the system. So while tenants feel like the bill puts them in danger, a lot of landlords feel like this is the first time the system is actually on their side. So here's what this actually means for the GTA right now. The immediate effects, because I've read some of the articles, they're saying, oh, rent is gonna skyrocket, everything is gonna go up. Rent is not going to go up. It's actually more balanced right now. Tenants finally understand they cannot drag out hearing for months. Okay. And landlords feel like they are not going to get stuck with someone who knows how to play the system. That alone changes the behavior on both sides. Right now, rents are actually cooling, not climbing, because both sides know the system move faster. If a landlord refuses to fix things, tenants just move, and they can move now because the market has more options. If a tenant tries to play games, landlords know they won't be stuck for a year anymore. So weirdly enough, Bill 60 is creating a bit of a balance. Tenants know they have to be reasonable. Landlords know they have to keep the unit in good shape. Nobody wants to risk the turnover right now. And down the line, maybe once the economy picks up, faster process could push rents up again because turnover resets pricing. But not today. The market isn't hot enough for that. And right now, the bigger shift is this: both sides finally feel like the system isn't being abused anymore. All right, I hope this video gave you some clarity about Bill 60 along with tenant and landlord rights. But if you're not sure how this affects you, whether you're selling or renting out your unit, you can book a call with me using the first link in the description box below. If you got any value out of this video, please consider subscribing to the channel and like the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.